Welcome back to The Surge. I'm your host, Taylor Ladwig, along with my co-host, Hunter Cornejo, and my other co-host, Jonathan Gurley. Today we are discussing the potential spots, landing spots for CP3. It's rumored that he may get dropped, cut, released by his longtime tenured Suns. So, Hunter, what are your initial thoughts?
Really, I'm kind of shocked on that because guys get these massive supermax deals when they're on the back end of their career, but you look at what the Suns do; they're still trying to win a championship. They threw away the entire future this season to bring in Kevin Durant, and then now Chris Paul, one of the greatest players in NBA history, to not win a championship, and they're just gonna move on from him over a contract issue. It's weird to me for sure, but definitely there's a lot of spots for him. I think I justifiably he should go to a contender. Chris Paul deserves a ring more than anyone else.
76ers.
That's certainly one. I think the biggest one would be the Lakers because if he's getting bought out, he's getting a good amount of money. He's not getting all of it because they have that clause. I guess he only gets 15 out of 30 million
Mhm.
in that deal. But the Lakers, LeBron's there. LeBron's one of his best friends. That's just a spot that makes the most sense.
Mhm. Uh, for the spot that makes the most sense for CP3, that's hard to figure it out because at this point you don't know what Chris Paul you're going to get, and you don't know how healthy he's going to be. So a spot that I think could make sense in a scenario not many people are talking about. What are the odds that the Suns are just buying him out the rest of his deal and going to bring him back on like a mid-level exception or a bet minimum on a better deal instead of just straight reworking the contract? But I think another thing that could potentially make sense if the San Antonio Spurs want to try and maybe speed up a rebuild, bring in Chris Paul for a season or two and have him be the facilitator to help a young Victor Wembanyama and a young Spurs roster and kind of be that leadership mentor guy. Because imagine you're going to a huddle and a timeout and you get to pick the brain real quick of Greg Popovich and Chris Paul at the same time to come up with a play. I think that team could easily make sense for Chris Paul if he wanted to go to kind of a riskier route of not wanting to go to a contender.
Chris Paul a couple years ago was in Oklahoma City on a team that had honestly no business making the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul not only took that team into the playoffs, into the bubble, which they lost in 7, but he really sped up SGA's development.
Mhm.
Like, if it wasn't for Chris Paul, I don't think SGA would necessarily be an all NBA player as of yet.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the release of Chris Paul just kind of confused me because who do the Suns have at point guard? They don't have a first round pick. They gave away every single asset. Who do they have at point guard to replace Chris Paul? We do have a live audience, so we are open to questions if anybody in the audience.
Hey guys, big fan of the show. Chris in Atlanta. I had a question. So, what about the Milwaukee Bucks for Chris Paul? I mean, pick and roll with Giannis, that'd be pretty nice.
That could be nice, but then there's going to be obviously roster ramifications. Are they still going to be able to keep Drew Holiday? What else is going to come with the Bucks rotation? But I think that could really work if Chris Paul wanted to, and they were able to get the pieces right to get him into Milwaukee. But I think there's a lot of moving parts to a deal that would have to come for that to happen.
That would be a big time lineup with Chris Paul, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and then Giannis. That'd be a big four.
Yeah, I mean, look at Giannis this year. The first round exit, the Bucks are obviously gonna be looking to make some sort of move because it's obvious that what they have right now is not necessarily the solution. As you get upset by the 8th seed in the first round of the playoffs, and Chris Paul's just that experienced veteran that I think combined with Giannis, that would be a great spot for him.
But you're sliding Chris Paul, a aging Chris Paul who has at times the past 2 years looked like a shell of his former self, who is injury prone, into a lineup that currently has Drew Holiday, who is getting up there, Chris Middleton, who didn't look like Chris Middleton for half the season this year. So if those players don't perform up to the level of expectations that the new Bucks coaching staff has and the Bucks front office, what's going to happen? Because what can you really do in the middle of the season with 3 aging veterans around one of the best players in the NBA? If you're in the Bucks and you're in a deep hole, what can you truly do to get yourself out of that in the middle of the season?
Yeah, that's a great point there for the Bucks. But looking at Chris Paul, it's going to be a minimal contract.
Yeah.
Because obviously the buyout, he can't be expecting that
Exactly.
much money. Which, granted, if it was a complete and total buyout, it would be like $1 million contract. Like the league minimum is what you're going to take at that point. But it's 15 out of 30, so 50% buyout. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
So what do you guys at home think? Get back to us. Thank you for watching The Surge. I was your host, Taylor Ladwig, along with co-host Jonathan Gurley and Hunter Cornejo. Thank you.